You see if he doesn't, Dr. Spencer said. He'll be a great inventor one day. To be spoken about like that by the two men I admired most in the world after my father made me blush and stutter. And as I stood there wondering what on earth I was expected to say in reply, a woman's voice behind me cried out, "Well, thank goodness that's over at last." This, of course, was Mrs. Grace Clipstone, who was now picking away cautiously down the caravan steps when young Christopher was unharmed. "Never in my life," she was saying, "have I ever seen such a shambles as that." The little white hat was still perched on the top of her head, and the prim white gloves were still on her hands. "What a gathering," she said, advancing towards us. "What a gathering we have here of rogues and varmints. Good morning, Enoch." "Good morning to you, Mrs. Clipstone," Sergeant Samway says. "How's the baby?" My father asked. "The baby is better than, thank you, William," she said, "though I doubt he'll ever be quite the same again." "Of course he will," Doc Spencer said. "Babies are tough." "I don't care how tough they are," she answered. "How would you like if you were being taken for a nice quiet walk in your pram on a pretty autumn morning and you were sitting on a lovely soft mattress and suddenly the mattress comes alive and starts bouncing up and down like a stormy sea, and next thing you know there's about 100 sharp curvy beaks poking up from beneath the mattress and pecking you to pieces?" The doctor cocked his head over to one side and then to the other, and he smiled at Mrs. Clipstone. "You think it's funny," she cried. "Well, just you wait, Dr. Spencer, and one night I'll put a few snakes or crocodiles or something under your mattress and see how you like it." Sergeant Samways was fetching his bicycle from beside the pumps. "Well, ladies and gents," he said, "I must be off and see who else is getting into mischief around here." "I'm truly sorry you were troubled, Enoch," my father said, "and thanks very much indeed for your help. I wouldn't have missed this one for all the tea in China," Sergeant Samway said. "But it did sadden me most terrible, Willem, to see all those lovely birds go slipping right through our fingers like that, because to my mind there doesn't exist a more luscious dish than a roast pheasant anywhere on this earth." "It's going to sadden the vicar a lot more than it saddens you," said Mrs. Clipstone. "That's all he's been talking about ever since he got out of bed this morning. The lovely roast pheasant he's going to have for dinner tonight." "He'll get over it," Dr. Spencer said. "He will not get over it, and it's a rotten shame," Mrs. Clipstone said, "because now all we've got to give him is some awful frozen fillets of cod, and he never did like cod anyways." But my father said, "Surely you didn't load all those pheasants in the pan, did you? You were meant to keep at least a dozen for you and the vicar." "Oh no," I said, she wailed. "But I was so tickled at the thought of strolling calmly through the village with Christopher sitting on 120 pheasants, I simply forgot to keep any back for ourselves. And now, alas, they're all gone, and so is the vicar's supper." The doctor went over to Mrs. Clipstone and took her by the arm. "You come with me, Grace," he said. "I've got something to show you." He led her across to my father's workshop, where the big doors stood wide open. The rest of us stayed where we were and waited. "Good grief, come and look at this," Mrs. Clipstone called from inside the workshop. "William, Enoch, Danny, come and look." He hurried over and entered the workshop. It was a great sight. Laid out on my father's bench amid the spanners and wrenches and oily rags were 6 magnificent pheasants, 3 cocks and 3 hens. "There we are, ladies and gentlemen," said the doctor, his small wrinkled face beaming with light. "How's that?" We were speechless. "2 for you, Grace, to keep the vicar in a good mood," Doc Spencer said. "2 for you, Nick, for all the fine work you did this morning, and 2 for William and Danny, who deserve them most of all." "What about you, Doctor?" my father asked. "That doesn't leave any for you." "My wife has enough to do without plucking pheasants all day long," he said. "And anyway, who got them out of the wood in the first place, you and Danny?" "But how on earth did you get them?" my father asked. "When did you nab them?" "I didn't nab them," Doc said. "I had lunch." "I had a hunch." "What sort of hunch?" my other asked. "It seemed fairly obvious," the doctor said, "that some of those pheasants must have gobbled up more than 1 raisin each. Some, if they were quick enough, might have swallowed half a dozen each, or even more, in which case they would have received a very heavy overdose of sleeping pills and wouldn't ever wake up." "Aha," he cried. Of course. So while you were all so busy driving the birds onto Mr. Hazel's Rolls Royce, I sneaked up in here and had a look under the sheet in the bottom of the pram, and there they were." "Amazing," said Sergeant Sanders. "Absolutely amazing." "Those were the greedy ones," the doc said. "It never pays to eat more than your fair share." "Marvellous," my father said. "Well done, sir." "Oh, you lovely man," cried Mrs. Clipstone, flinging her arm around the tiny doctor and giving him a kiss on the cheek. Now come along, the doctor said to her. I'll drive you home. You can leave this crazy perambulator back where it is, and Enoch will take the birds with us and drop them off at your house on the way. We can't have the arm of the law cycling through the village with a brace of pheasants slung over the handlebars. I am very much obliged to you, Doctor, Sergeant Samway said. I really am. My father and I loaded 4 of the pheasants into Doctor's car. Mrs. Clipson got into the front seat with the baby, and the doctor sat himself behind them. Will, don't be sad, William, he said to my father through the window as he drove off. It was a famous victory. Then Sergeant Samway mounted his bicycle and waved us goodbye and pedalled away down the road in the direction of the village. He pedalled slowly, and there was a certain majestic way he held himself, with the head high and the back very straight, as though we were riding a fine thoroughbred mare instead of its old black bike. It was all over now. My father and I stood alone just outside the workshop, and suddenly the old place seemed to become very quiet. Well, Danny, my father said, looking at me with those twinkly eyes of his. That's that. It was fun, Dad. I know it was, he said. I really loved it, I said. So did I, Danny. He placed one hand on my shoulder, and we began walking slowly towards the caravan. Maybe we should lock the pumps and take a holiday for the rest of the day, he said. You mean not open up at all? Why should we, he said. After all, it's Saturday, isn't it? But we always stay open on Saturdays, Dad. And Sundays. Maybe it's time we didn't, he said. We should do something else instead, something more interesting. I waited, wondering what was coming next. When we reached the caravan, my father climbed one step and sat on the little outside platform. He allowed both his legs, the plaster one and the good one, to dangle others. I climbed up and sat beside him with my feet on the steps of the ladder. It was a fine place to sit, the platform of the caravan. It was a quite comfortable place to sit and talk and do nothing in pleasant weather. People with houses have front porches on it, or a terrace instead, with big chairs to lounge in, but I wouldn't have traded either of those for our wooden platform. I know a place about 3 miles away, my father was saying, over Cobbler's Hill, and down the other side there's a small wood of larch trees. It is a very quiet place, and the stream runs right through it. The stream, I said. He nodded and gave me another of his twinkly looks. It's full of trout, he said. Oh, could we? I cried. Could we go there, Dad? Why not, he said. We could try tickling them in the way Dr. Spencer told us. You'll have to teach me, I said. I haven't had much practice with trout, he told me. Pheasants are more in my line, but we could always learn. Can we go now? I asked, getting excited all over again. I thought we would just pop in the village first and buy the electric oven, he said. You haven't forgotten about the electric oven, have you? But Dad, I said, that was when we thought we were going to have lots of pheasants to roast. We still got 2 in the doc gave us, he said. And with any luck, we'll have lots more of them as the weeks go by. It's time we had an oven anyway. Then we can roast things properly instead of heating up baked beans in a saucepan. We could have roasted pork one day, and then if we felt like it, we could have roasted leg of lamb the next time, or even roasted beef. Wouldn't you like that? Yes, of course. I would. And Dad, would you be able to make our favourite thing of all? What's that, he asked. Toad in the hole, I said. By golly, that will be the first thing we'll ever make in our new oven. Toad in the hole. I'll make it in an enormous pan, same as my old mum, with the Yorkshire pudding, very crisp and raised in the huge bubbly mountains and the sausage nestling between the mountains. Can we get it today, Dad? Will they deliver it at once? They might, Danny. We'll have to see. Couldn't we order it now on the telephone? We mustn't do that, my father said. We must go personally to see Mr. Wheeler, and we must inspect all the different models with great care. All right, I said, let's go. I was really steamed up about getting an oven and being able to have toad in the hole and roasted pork and stuff like that. I couldn't wait. My father got to his feet, and when we were done, he said, we'll go off to the stream and see if we can find us some big rainbow trout. We could take sandwiches with us for lunch and eat them beside the stream. That'll make a good day of it. A few minutes later, the 2 of us were walking down the well-known road towards the village to buy the oven. My father's iron foot went clink, clink, clink on the hard surface, and overhead some big black thunderclouds were moving slowly down the valley. Dad, I said. Yes, my love? When we have our roasted pheasant supper with our new oven, do you think we could invite Dr. Spencer and Mrs. Spencer to eat with us? Great heavens, my father cried. What a wonderful thought. What a beautiful idea. We'll give a dinner party in their honour. The only thing is, I said, will there be enough room in the caravan for just 4 people? I think so, he said. Just, but we've only got 2 chairs. That's no problem, Danny. You and I can sit on the boxes. There's a short silence, and he said, but I'll tell you what we must have, and that's a tablecloth. We can't serve dinner to the doctor and his wife without a tablecloth. But we don't have a tablecloth, Dad. Don't you worry about that, my father said. We can use a sheet from one of the bunks. That's all a tablecloth is, sort of sheet. What about knives and forks, I asked. How many do we have? Just 2 knives, I said, and 2 forks. And those are a bit dented. We shall have to buy more of each. My father said, we shall give our guests the new ones and use the old ones for ourselves. Good, I said. Lovely. I reached out and slipped my hand into his. He folded his long fingers around my fist and held it tight. And we walked on towards the village where soon the 2 of us would be inspecting all the different ovens with great care and talking to Mr. Wheeler personally about them. And after that, we would walk home again and make up some sandwiches for our lunch. And after that, we would set off with the sandwiches in our pockets, striding over the Cobblers Hill and down the other side of the small wood of larch trees with the stream running through it. And after that, perhaps a big rainbow trout. And after that, there would be something else after that. And after that, yes, and something else again. Because what I'm trying to tell you, what I've been trying to tell you so hard to tell you all along is simply that my father, without the slightest doubt, was the most marvellous and exciting father any boy had ever had. The end. What an excellent story. That is my favourite book ever.